Woe to you, O earth and sea. For the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM, from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And to quote a song, oh, what a night! Oh, what a night it has been. We're recording this on the evening of Wednesday, the 9th of April, 2025. A night that is historic and will go down in Whitecaps folklore as they booked their spot in the 2025 CONCACAF Cup semi-finals, taking on, which I believe is the team's official name now, Lionel Messi's Inter Miami. I believe that's probably been trademarked somewhere.
That's like MLS men's national team.
Jesse Marsh. Yes.
Yeah, Jesse Marsh is MLS. Yeah. Yeah, historic occasion, second time qualifying for the semifinals of this competition. You and I were talking this last time was 2017.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, congratulations to Jesper and his players on this run seems more impressive than that one in terms of the opponents they've knocked out. Now,
2 wins in Mexico.
Team. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Well, we're going to get into that in this episode. That'll be in part 1. We're going to turn our attention for our CPL review in part 2. And then we'll be talking the women's game in part 3 as we look at Canada's loss to Argentina and bring you some audio from Canadian head coach Casey Stoney. And I sit down for a chat with Whitecaps Academy alumni and a lady who made her senior national team debut on Tuesday night in Langford, Holly Ward. That's all to come in part 3. And as you can probably tell, my voice has gone a bit from shouting tonight. I need to start with some apologies to my wife, Caitlin, who had gone to bed early and was asleep after the winning goal went in, to my dog, Annie, who was on the couch asleep for when the winning goal went in, and to the girl that lives underneath us in the apartment below our townhouse, who I believe starts work at 7 a.m. and always seems to go to bed very early. Yes, so apologies to all 3 of those ladies.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, the victory was down to a number of things. Jesper's tactics, Tristan's equalising goal, but 2 other things as well, 2 important factors, Zach. 1, I put on my lucky hat.
Which one is that?
That's the one I got in Cannon Beach.
Oh, yeah.
5-0 win against Portland.
Right.
That I forgot to then wear in the last game against LAFC and we got beat. So that was what cost Vanny his job, but it's my lucky hat for that. But also...
Wait, so it's your lucky hat for knocking out Vanny?
Maybe. I mean, maybe that all ties in. But the other thing as well, I think this was an omen. because I got something in the mail today from a friend of the show. And I'm going to show you it now. Maybe it's 4 things. I'll just show you the main thing. Maybe you can describe it for our listeners, Zach.
That is a signed. Oh, yeah. It's Michael's good buddy, Kay and the gang. It's like a signed promo card or like.
Yeah, that says that I look a little bit like his paper boy. Like his paper boy.
Oh, no.
Which is the song we can't play.
Don't Google that song if you don't know it.
I'll show you what else I got from him.
You know how many times I've listened to Michael sing that song? Oh my goodness. Is that a sticker or a bookmark?
It's a sticker.
Oh my goodness. Did he write on it or does it come like that?
It comes on that. He did write cheers and then signed it. And as he signed on all these, drew a cock and ball, spunking away.
Oh my goodness.
It says, "Wanks very much, you." And
UK.
yeah, couple of best of CDs as well. Oh yeah, this is volume 1. And volume 2.
Mike. Oh my goodness.
We won't read out what they are. You can go on the katg.co.uk to find out all the stuff there. So I think that brought good luck. I will tweet him the picture of it arriving and thank him for the good luck that he brought to us. But yes, we're going to talk that famous victory in this part. We'll bring you some audio as well from Jesper Sorensen, who had to do 2 press conferences after that because the one down in Mexico got cut off, so then he did a second one for Vancouver media as well. But, I said what a night, and what a night it was. You couldn't watch it live because you were at work, so you've watched the highlights. I mean, I was pacing for that whole second half. I'd watched a very good game before it that we will come to in a sec, but going into this, in our Whitecaps media WhatsApp group that we've got, I said, I feel good about this. I think 2-2 on the night, and we go through in away goals. So, I'm a genius. I can share that if folk don't believe that was my prediction. I thought it was going to be deja vu. I don't know. I just felt something good about this. To quote another song, "Ooh, I just knew that something good was gonna happen. Do 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 do." I'm in a good mood.
I was going to say, if you're listening to this and you want to hear more of Michael sing, there are a lot of outtakes.
Yeah, yes. These are all going to get kept in, though, I think. So, quick rundown of the game. The good thing for the Whitecaps is they didn't concede the early goal like they did down in Monterrey. And, I mean, the first 15 minutes, Pumas probably shaded it. It was even. No real clear-cut chances. Guillermo Martinez had a shot straight at Takaoka from the edge of the box in the 8th minute. But the Whitecaps were kind of struggling to get to grips with the altitude. Now, I was a little worried about this because the balls play differently in altitude. And we saw that here. And the Whitecaps didn't travel and practice down there. They only flew down yesterday afternoon from Vancouver. So there was a lot of players that wouldn't have been used to that, wouldn't have played in that, wouldn't have experienced the conditions. So there were some overhit passes. The surface was a bit slick. Balls were running away from players. Passes were just going too quick away. But the Whitecaps slowly regrouped. They started to find their feet, find their legs, and they were very much in the game. And in the 19th minute, almost opened the score, and their best chance of the game so far, Pedro Vite, a long-range rocket that was turned away by Padilla in the Pumas goal. And again, down to the altitude. Anyone that watched Mexico's 86 World Cup will know these long-range shots carry something. And Vite, as a guy that's going to have played at altitude, playing against Bolivia, playing in La Paz, and it was a brilliant strike. And like the half-hour mark came, and the game was in a knife edge. And then I think it's going to take something special to beat this for goal of the season. And we're only in April, Zach, I think. But Pedro Vite collects the ball just inside his half, runs about 50 yards, no one's going anywhere near him, plays it to the outside to Daniel Rios. Now, Rios had got the start in this, much like he did against Monterrey, to kind of just be a big presence, a warm body up front in the first half, saving Brian White to come on in the second, and it worked well. Rios sent in the pass, Sebastian Berhalter back to goal, everything still to do, and a spinning back heel pirouette. Can't think of a better way to describe it. His first goal of the season, became the 13th Whitecaps player to score this year already, which in itself is incredible. But what a finish.
Yeah, Michael, I think you're underrating it. I think this is like one of the greatest Whitecap goals ever. Like, forget about this season. Like, it is the quality, the finish, the significance. Like, yeah, it was huge.
Oh,
And
I mean,
Berhalter-
cancelled out the away goal that Pumas got in the first leg right away. So it gives the Whitecaps a little bit of wiggle room and breathing space.
Unlike some of his other gols, I know in the past, I think you used the phrase something along the lines of Berhalter scores bangers.
Yeah, I said he doesn't score an easy goal. He still hasn't.
Yeah, so it wasn't a banger, but it was of the highest quality, and it was even though I was working and I actually was following the score, and the match ended just before I got home, and so when I came in and finally was able to watch the highlights, so I knew the outcome, but. I was not expecting a goal that quality. I hadn't talked to you yet.
Yeah.
I was not expecting a goal of that quality. I was just like, you saw me watch.
It was fun watching you watch it. Got to relive it all again. I mean, this was like some night. So pleased for Seba. He deserves it. When we spoke to him recently, it's like we said, the goal's coming. We know it's coming, and he's a quality guy. I did a podcast recording tonight with an Austin podcast. Which we'll plug as well. And it's like we were talking, like they keep an eye on Sebastian because he played with them in their first season. And they're called Swoon Tower Soccer, which is the sister podcast of Moon Tower Soccer. And we're talking about that, and I was saying, yeah, he's close to getting his first goal. He's been so influential. Him and beside Kubis is tremendous. And then he goes and does that. And I'm sure they were watching it as well and going, wow, just what an amazing finish. And like Pedro Viti was excellent in this game from start to finish. He was my man of the match. He's just, this season, whatever it is, and I don't know if it's because the World Cup's coming up next year and he's wanting a bigger move, but like he was absolutely tremendous tonight. He has come in and filled in the big Rheingold void that is in this team. And even before that, when he was playing with Goldie, he's been superb. But that run was like great. And the thing then was, you knew that Pumas were going to throw everything at the Whitecaps, because the Whitecaps were ahead in the tie, but even if Pumas scored, I mean, all it did was level things up totally, and then it was all to play for. So they had to try and get to half-time and regroup and see what they were going to do. But they were under the cosh, and like Takaoka had to make a save at the near post. That led to a corner. The corner came in, and last week, Coco Carrasquilla, wide open, let him finish. This week, Coco Carrasquilla, wide open. Gets the shot off. Takaoka saves it this time, and the rebound could have gone anywhere, but it falls right to Martinez on the edge of the 6-yard box. He's not going to miss from there. No. He's a good player, and he took that well. And the lead lasted 4 minutes, and you're like, that is like the worst possible thing for the Whitecaps in one sense, but they had to get to half-time then level. And to help them get there, we'll maybe talk a little bit about this in the next part. I know we touched on it on Sunday, but Yohei did a Callum Irving. Went down, feeling a little bit cramp, had to get stretched out, and like a 90-second maybe delay while he got a bit of treatment, calm things down, while Pumas were waiting to take a throw-in the final third. It was good stuff.
Technically, I would call that it's a Butu, in my opinion, but
to me, it's a Justin Sandu in the Canadian Championship.
We'll talk about Callum specifically in match day one. It was a specific incident, but the just taking a breather or calming the game down or whatever. That to me, that when 75th minute, like Butu went down I don't know, 95% of the games like that.
But I mean, it helped. It calmed things down. They got to half time, tied at 1. It's 2-2 on aggregate, and basically everything is up for grabs in the second 45 minutes. And this, like, first half, I was like fine, confident. Second half, I was pacing around my living room watching that. I think that is why Caitlin went to bed early. So I'm just going upstairs to read my book. It's like, sure, you're not going to fall asleep. And if you did, it's not going to last long. But they brought Brian White on, and it was one of those scenarios, like Pumas knew that a goal for the Whitecaps left them needing 2. Even if they scored first, a Whitecaps goal put them behind. Yep. So they had to be careful about how they went about this. Indeed, and they came out, Martinez had a header that was turned away by Yohe, got low, turned it around the post. Not the only time he did that in this second half. Then Sebastian Berhalter had a free kick that just flashed inches wide of the right post as well, just before the hour mark. 2 minutes later, Takaoka turned another Martinez header around the post again, and the game just ticked on, and it started to get a little bit nervy. Neither side were taking control of it. And then the 73rd minute, it's like there was a chance, and Pusetto for Pumas blasted over from a really good position that you've got to hit the target from there. And you're like, whew, Whitecaps dodged a bullet. The defence up to that point were superb, but they switched off. Well, I guess for the goal, they also maybe switched off. But they switched off for a mere second in that second half, and they were almost punished for it, which is what good teams like Pumas can do. They might be having a tough Liga MX season, but they're a good team, and there's quality in that team. So it's getting towards the full-time whistle, and I tweeted this out, and I was chatting in some of the chats about it as well. The Whitecaps were tiring. They looked like some of the players were running on fumes, and I felt they've got to get this done in the 90. If this goes to extra time, they're toast. They're not gonna see through an extra 30 minutes. And they'd brought on Jeevan Badwal, which was like brave after what happened last week, but good for him as well. But then he had a chance that he just couldn't connect on. If he had, I think, gone in the back of the net, and it's like, oh, what a redemption story that would have been. So the game's ticking down. You think it's going into extra time, and in the 88th minute, heartbreak. Pumas take the lead. First attempt, the header, saved, I think it was off Martinez from Yohe Takaoka. And then, again, the rebound just fell to the right person in the right spot. Pusetto, and maybe a bit fortunate that he didn't crash it off the bar. He hit it so hard, but hits the underside of the bar, goes in the net, and it's like you're thinking, oh, breaking Whitecaps' hearts. The stadium came to life. It had been a little nervy. They're in full singing. They're doing their torches on their phone. The Pumas players are wasting time. Just as the game went into stoppage time, someone went down with cramp. He got stretchered off. And as soon as the stretcher got off, he hopped off the stretcher and he's shaking hands with everyone as the sub's made. So that wasted 90 seconds. So then they put up 5 minutes of stoppage time, and you're like, well, I hope he's going to add on that extra 90 seconds onto that 5 minutes. And then Whitecaps, maybe I shouldn't have doubted them, but they did seem on fumes. Took the game to Pumas, and the ball came. Edier Ocampo took it so well. Yeah. Sent it into the middle, and who is there? The man you'd expect to be in the middle of the park by that point. Centre-back Tristan Blackman, finishing like a centre-back would do. And now I'm joking about not expecting him to be there, but when we spoke to him when he first came to the Whitecaps, we were chatting about his early career as a youth player, and he was another one of those central defenders that used to play as a forward before transitioning back to a defensive role, and he channeled every part of that former forward in the finish of this one. Maybe he's the new Kendall Waston. We just throw him up front if we need a late goal going into the dying embers of matches. I'd take that based on his finish on Wednesday. Beautiful volley, first timer into the goal, past Padillo, and the scenes on the bench. Oh, absolute sheer joy.
Yeah, it was a really nice cross and a really quality finish. He kind of almost roofed it into the net. You kind of saw how easy it would have been to maybe not strike that so sweetly. But no, we know Blackman can score.
Oh,
and yeah, and then you and I were talking about this, but Jesper actually said after you asked Jesper after.
yeah.
About, was that Tristan
meant to be there?
He wanted, or was that the plan to have him up there? And he was like, "No, that was our intention."
That was the plan. Push him forward, push Krylak forward, try and get some big bodies in there, cause some confusion, and I think it did that.
Oh, it worked.
Like Tristan was one of the guys that him and Ranko put in a shift. They were looking tired. Ranko in particular was really struggling, I think, with some cramp towards the end. The one soccer commentators kept going on about, the centre-backs need to do better. It's like, they've just ran 90 minutes in altitude. You're a goalkeeper. I'd like to see you try and do that, or an ex-goalkeeper. But then the most hilarious thing after that, because it's the 93rd minute, all the Pumas fans, as the Whitecaps started doing some time wasting, are pointing at the invisible watches on their wrists, saying to the referee, "Well, I hope you're adding time on for this shenanigans." But Whitecaps comfortably saw the game out, and another historic win down in Mexico, setting up a semi-final with Inter Miami that we'll come to shortly. But before we do, like, you look at Whitecaps history and Whitecaps folklore. I'm big on folklore. It's something that I did with East Fife. I've got a whole section on the East Fife website for like folklore. We've got over 120 years of it, so there's a lot of folklore there. But you look at Whitecaps folklore.
East Fife is mostly folklore, isn't it?
Sadly, yes. Big Dick has gone limp, as we are struggling now. We might not even get promoted at this rate. It's really gone off the rails. But let's talk about happier teams that do well for me, that make me smile. You look at Whitecaps folklore in the MLS era, and Tristan Blackman is right up there. He scores a Voyageurs Cup winning penalty, and he scored that goal tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, for a guy that, for whatever reason, was not doing it last year under Vanni Sartini, great to see. Like, we spoke to him pre-season. Fantastic chat with him. He loves to play darts. I mean, what more could you want from a player? But no, in all seriousness, like, him and Ranko, I think it's something like 100 games they've played together now, and it's like they are a great partnership at the back, and they're going to need to be in the next leg. But yeah, I just want to tip my hat to Tristan Blackman. He has been excellent this season.
Yeah, he's one of the players who we talked about at the beginning of this season. After you talk to him, has a new lease on life.
Yeah,
and which is great.
Now, the man at the helm that's masterminded this. I mean, he got his tactics spot on against Monterrey. He got his tactics spot on tonight against Pumas. Even last week against Pumas, that one switching off that they were punished for, everything else was near perfection. We spoke in the last show about the weekend game against Colorado. Not perfection, but so good. And he's really good at getting his tactics right, getting the right personnel on, playing the game to those players' strengths as well. And we're going to bring you audio from both the press conferences that he had to do tonight, the one in person and then the one with Whitecaps Media afterwards, just to basically chat about where this lies in his own personal achievements and just a little bit more. Here's the gaffer. Hey Jesper, first of all, congratulations. Hope you've got more of a voice than I do after that. You've done a lot in your career. On a personal level, where does this rank for you?
Yeah, this is high. This is high up as a coach. It's, these getting to the semi-final stage in the CONCACAF is not something that comes along very often, and you don't know that when you start out the tournament, of course, you hope you go along, but you're up against tough opponents all the time, and also playing under different circumstances. I know that we also have a favorable. We have favorable play at home and play on turf. We're now coming down here, also playing altitude, and we could see that we have difficulties controlling the ball today when we look at how we play normally. So it's a high point, I would say. I don't know how I would rank it, but it's definitely up there.
For the winning goal, did you tell Tristan to go that far up the field, or was that just his own game that was like, I need to get up there and try and force something to happen?
No, but yeah, I took him up there. We went with three, Ralph to the left and Kubas to the right and Ranko in the center. Then Demir and Tristan up together with Brian, and then good things happened.
Just wondering what was going through your head when Pumas scored their goal, and how much belief did you have that you would eventually get a goal yourself?
I think that the game at that point was a little bit of locked, and I think that it looked as if it would be extra time. But we just made a move and hope for the best. There's not much time to use left on the clock, so we just had to try and do something, and and it worked out. So, but you have this spark of belief always that you can do something, and then it's up to the players in the end if it can actually happen, and it did.
Thank you, Joshua. Go Nathan next, please.
I just wanted to ask about the altitude and the conditions of playing in Mexico City. We know how much it affects the flight of the ball, but how much did it affect your players not being able to actually have a practice at those conditions before the match?
That was a big thing because that's what you want. It is very different compared to playing at BC. Also with the ball, the way it goes, it moves in the air, and we also play with a different ball in the CONCACAF tournament. So it was not ideal preparation, to be honest, that we couldn't train yesterday. But I think it has something to say also with the altitude regarding the physical, how much we can run and stuff. But I think in the end it was difficult conditions. We didn't play out this game either, but we managed to go through anyways.
Jesper, what are your early initial thoughts on hosting Miami in 2 weeks' time?
Great for everybody. I think we're up against the team that has the best player that's been playing for the last many, many years, maybe the best ever to play the game. So I think it's exciting for everybody. I think it must be exciting for all football fans, for everybody. Also to come support us, of course. We're in the semifinals. That would be great. So I think my initial thoughts is that it's going to be, we're not there for the experience. We're there to move on to the final, but that's what we want to do. But of course, it's special. Of course, it's special with Miami on the other side.
He's the gaffer. You can't try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all.
The gaffer there, as cock a hoop as a Dane can get. Still had the polo neck on in the heat of Mexico City. You love to see it. That's his look. But what Jesper has done with this team in such a short period of time. One of the things we discussed in that Austin podcast tonight, Zach, is the Whitecaps have done something, and I guess Miami are as well, to be fair, that other MLS teams have really struggled with in the last couple of years. And that is compete in both the Champions League Cup and MLS at the same time.
Yeah.
So you've got both the Eastern and the Western Conference leaders in the semi-finals of the Champions Cup now, and they're topping the table. Now, Miami's got the depth and they've spent the money. It's maybe not a huge surprise. And I think for that reason, like if you were handing out just now MLS Coach of the Year so far, it's going to Jesper Sorensen, with the San Diego coach not too far behind, I would say as well.
Yeah. And would you put Mascherano up there then too?
Now, this is interesting because the MLS 360 commentators were talking about this, and some did, some didn't have him in the top 5. I personally wouldn't, because of what he's got, what he's working with. Yeah. It's like, it's not exactly that he's scraping the dregs and having to go to depth. I mean, he has got dodgy backup keeper in Calendar, I think. But, I mean, on the whole, it's like, that is not... I mean, you've got the luxury of bringing Fafa Pico on tonight late in stoppage time, who's a player that most MLS teams would love to have as a starter.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, you saw what he did here last year. But yeah, Miami is up next in the semi-final. Now, you wouldn't have seen the highlights for this game tonight, I take it.
Oh, Miami?
The LAFC.
Yeah,
Miami.
no, I've watched those.
Oh, you did watch the highlights of that as well. Wow.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I think Caitlin was getting fed up with me saying, "Oh, looks like we're going to LA in the next round. Oh, no, now it's going to be Miami. Oh, no, we're back to LA. Oh, they've scored again. It's Miami. Oh, no, it's been disallowed. It's going to be LA.
Why was the free kick goal called back? Was it just because he hadn't blown the whistle?
The free kick goal was called back because it wasn't ready. He hadn't blown the whistle. It's what I'm guessing. But the fact that they rolled off.
It doesn't matter if they're set. It only matters if the ref told everyone.
Yeah, I mean, either he didn't say to take it or he just panicked. I don't know. Because it was such a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
What makes no sense to me, like, not a fan of Miami, but I mean, they were jobbed. That offside goal was clearly onside.
Yeah.
They drew lines. There's VAR. And they said, no, the decision on the field stands. I mean, that is baffling. That could have cost them the tie. It'd have been hilarious just to see the meltdown. But how can that happen when you have VAR? And you've drawn lines and it shows that he's onside.
Yeah, their lines are, maybe not always the best, but yeah. It's probably a good thing that they go through and there's not that kind of controversy hanging over the next round.
Because that would be unfortunate, I've got to say. And it saves us having the 111th meeting between the Whitecaps and LAFC in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That is how it feels.
I wouldn't have minded that, to be honest. But
no, I would have taken that. I was hoping for that because I was like, I think we can beat LAFC and get to the final. Miami's a whole different thing. Depending on who they bring to the first leg. Now, the first leg is going to be in Vancouver. Under the old system of last year of rankings in CONCACAF, we would have hosted the second leg because we've done more in CONCACAF than Inter Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But they've changed it this year and it's all in points, but not from the first round. So it's points after that. If you've won a game, you get 3 points. If you've drawn a game, you get 1 point. So because of that, the Whitecaps host first. And I actually think that's fantastic. I would much rather be away in the second leg.
Because of the away goals rule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there was no away goals rule, then no.
Honestly, this is not a shot at the result tonight or last round or whatever, but the away goals rule should be gone. Period.
Oh, it should. I hate it. I mean, it's helped us win 2 matches, but I hate it and it shouldn't be there. And why we still have it in CONCACAF when everyone else is getting rid of it, I do not know.
Yeah.
It's like baffling. It's interesting because the ties have to get played, the first leg, between April 22nd and the 24th. So the Tuesday to the Thursday. On the Tuesday, AC/DC are at BC Place.
Oh.
AC/DC in BC. Now, the first leg will be in Vancouver, scheduled for Thursday, April 24th, which for me is a nightmare because I'm going to see Mogwai at the Commodore Ballroom, but it'll be finished by then, so I should be fine. But I'm like, that's going to be a long, dramatic night for me. Oh, I wonder if Mogwai might come to the match. I'll invite Stuart and the boys. Big football fans, big Celtic fans. So, hey, we'll show you what semi-finals like in the Champions Cup. You know the guy that scored the goal that put your team out? He used to play for us. Now, the unfortunate thing about the timing of the game, Vancouver Rise, their first game at Swangard is on Thursday the 24th.
Oh, no.
Now, the Whitecaps have pushed back their game that coming weekend in Minnesota. It's now getting played on the Sunday, so they have 3 days between the games. So I do wonder if the Rise might look at bringing forward their match to the Wednesday the 23rd so that there isn't a clash, because everyone is going to want to go to BC Place for that one. And it would be a shame for the Rise to have a low, potentially very low crowd out at Swangard for their first match at that famous stadium. Now, I'm going to Miami. I'm not missing that. Never been to Miami, never wanted to go to Miami. I mean, you were close. You got to see Will Smith at the CONCACAF Nations final performing. I'm assuming he sang Miami.
No, he just sang Getting Jiggy With It in some new song, I think.
Smacking Chris Rock around the face.
I don't think that's the actual title.
Smack My Bitch Up, a cover from the Prodigy song.
No. Some people are like, keep your wife's name out of...
I mean, sure, I hope you were all chanting.
During that?
Yeah.
No,
Chris Rock.
you couldn't. Yeah, honestly, actually, we were there in the second row, and we were all like, the acoustics in this place are pretty awful. Like the actual sound quality, and I don't know if it had to do with, it wasn't set up for a concert or they were just using limited speakers or whatever. But like, it was not.
Well, yeah, it's like I saw Liam Gallagher perform before a boxing match just after I got my Oasis tickets, and I was like, oh, do I really want to go home and watch Oasis? Because he was terrible.
Yeah.
Now, if I go to Miami, there is a chance I'll just sell my Oasis ticket to Lee's mate and then not go over in August because that's going to be a bit of money. I'm torn. I don't know whether to book my flight to Miami or wait to see how the first leg goes. And then if we get absolutely cuffed, think, yeah, that would be silly to waste money going for that. I don't know.
I was going to say, where's the GoFundMe page so people can back you in this?
Oh, that would be nice. I've got to say, I priced out flights, and the cheapest ones were like $451, which didn't seem too bad. That was cheaper than what it was to fly to Toronto when I looked at that. Big question, of course, is will Messi play here at BC Place? Now, you would think a Champions Cup semi-final.
Yeah, we should
miss that.
Let's not speculate. Let's just the dude needs to be here. I know some people are like, oh, he'll come, he won't start, he'll only come on if they need him or something.
Yeah, I have a feeling they might try that.
But yeah, if you're listening to this and you're considering going to the match, you have history to draw on, not to be disappointed if you go and you don't get to see.
Yes, be aware he might not play and cut all the bullshit of trying to then sue because of him not turning up. He might play, he might not, he might just sit on the bench. Who knows?
But you got to imagine, the one thing I would say is you got to imagine some of, like whether it's Suarez or Suarez, I think is the worst person for the turf, I think, for his knees.
And Busquets as well, like getting on a bit. There was that bit in the game tonight when Messi was trying to chase a long ball late in the game and he has not got the pace.
Yeah. Well, he's old, Michael.
There should have been a couple of red cards sent out as well for some handbags after Messi got completely taken out of the play. It was beautiful. Edier Ocampo versus Lionel Messi is going to be carnage for Messi. I can tell you that now. Ocampo is just going to go through him, and I'm here for that. Messi is key, obviously, to Miami. What I want to happen, like right now at BC Place, they're doing a lot of work underground for the World Cup next year. So the away locker room, they're having to shower in porta cabins. And I hope, no matter what, they don't fix that for that game. And also, the turf. I hope it's horrible after an AC/DC concert a day or 2 days before and it's flat as anything. Use all this to your advantage, Whitecaps.
We've seen that surface after it's had those plastic things on top of it, and it is less than ideal.
I might even just go and just start jumping up and down on it. Even like AC/DC. But yeah, but we'll get into the Miami game at another time. There's no point looking too much into that just now, but it's exciting. And what I was saying to Caitlin is, even playing Miami at this stage of proceedings gets the world's eyes on the Whitecaps.
Totally.
Whatever happens now, they have done themselves, the fan base, and the city proud. This is a tremendous team performance. If they go out at the semis, so be it. If they beat Miami, they have put themselves right up there.
Well, again, it would be historic because they made the final. Yeah. Forget about knocking out Miami.
Which would be against Cruz Azul or Tigres.
I forget, the final in this is 2 legs, right?
No, single leg now.
Oh, where is it then?
Depending on who wins, but I'm thinking it'll be down in Mexico. So it'll probably be Cruz Azul or Tigres. Hey, we've nothing to fear about going down there, although we don't have the away goals.
Right.
But yeah, so that one coming up, get your tickets. If you were at the previous games, I hope you opted into the semi-final. And I hope that everyone that was at these previous games gets whatever tickets they want for this.
It's going to be interesting to see how things go for this based on, obviously, what happened last year, midweek. It'll be interesting to see, does the name recognition of Inter Miami / their squad overcome the understanding of the competition itself?
Yeah,
right. Because these are all things we always talked about before. But if all of a sudden there's 50,000 people on a Thursday night at this game, it'll show you that it maybe some of those previous thought of rationales don't hold the water that we thought they did, or maybe it's simply just that, you know, the little Argentine, you know, overcomes all of that.
But anyway, that's all to come. We'll look at that once we know a little bit more. Austin is next up on Saturday. We won't delve into too much of that. But as I mentioned, yeah, check out the Swoon Tower podcast, Swoon Tower Soccer.
Again, just
preview the game.
Huge kudos to Jesper and his squad and the Whitecaps on this massive achievement. And yeah, it's going to be exciting semifinals.
Now, one final bit for this part, talking Whitecaps. The MLS transfer window closes on Wednesday, April 23rd, so the day before the first leg. And the Whitecaps can still make additions that would be eligible for that first leg of the semi-final. Before we get into the ins and outs of that, at Axel Schuster's media availability on Saturday, when he was talking about the stadium, AFTN man Felipe Vallejo asked him about what his plans might be. Were they still looking to add pieces in this transfer window? Here's what he had to say about that.
18 days until the end of the transfer window. Several weeks ago, you talked about bringing in a couple of players to help, given the injuries that are going on and how well the team is doing. What's the likelihood of that, and how is the progress going into identifying and bringing those players in?
Yeah, it's still likely. We just had a meeting this week and we discussed several profiles. I would say we evaluate the situation every week, and there are also some players who stepped up in a very positive way. So I would say it maybe has shifted a little bit the profile that we're looking for. So because I think we don't want to put somebody just in front of somebody who's doing a really, really good job right now on a very big stage, including playing against Mexican teams or good teams in MLS. But we continue to looking into having more depth, more options, because we see that injuries are one thing that obviously impact us, but there will be international breaks, and we had one shot a few weeks ago, and we will have a Gold Cup later, and this will all happen before the next transfer window. So the idea why we want to do this before the end of the window is still the same. Maybe the profiles and what we're exactly looking for has a little bit changed over the last weeks.
So Axel Schuster still actively looking to add pieces in this transfer window, and you have to think if they've got a chance to add a key piece before that Miami semi-final, they would jump at the chance. You also have to wonder as well, would the fact that they're in this semi-final, going up against Miami, going up against Messi, if there was any players on the fence wondering if they wanted to come to Vancouver or not, between that, the start of the season, showing that they are real contenders, that might help get a deal over the line, maybe even sooner rather than later in the summer transfer window. So certainly a lot to keep an eye on there. And any players that were added would be eligible if they weren't cup-tied for this semi-final as well. So let's see, maybe we could do a Miami and bring in some big piece. It would be a shame for the players that got us there, but we need to strengthen. This is such a great opportunity for the club. You don't want it to go to waste. But that is it for the Whitecaps chat now. For this show, we're going to turn our attention to the CPL in the next part, recapping the first weekend of action of the 2025 season, and we'll be back with that after a special song for a special episode.
Hi, I'm Tristan Blackman, and this is the AFTN Soccer Show.
Reflections of my Walkman staring back at me. 'Cause in my dreams, it's always there.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, we had to play some version of that Iron Maiden classic from 1982, The Number of the Beast. And it was a cover by a Finnish-Swedish power metal band called Sinergy. I tried to find a Danish cover to pay tribute to Jesper Sorensen and the fantastic win over Pumas, but this is as close as I could get in that it's a Scandinavian band that does feature a band member called Jesper. So the band is Sinergy. That is a track that you can find on the deluxe edition of their 1990 album Beware the Heavens. 666, The Number of the Beast. And Zach, I mean, thank you for joining us for this episode. I did actually get a DM from somebody saying, is Zach going to be on the next show or is he going to have to miss it? And I was like, I don't even think Zach knows what the next show number is, but you did.
I did. Yeah, of course I did.
And obviously I'm not going to do anything too stupid to offend you and your beliefs and others as well. But 666, it's too good not to have a little bit of fun with. So we've just done it with the one song.
We're in the midst of a sermon series on the Book of Revelation right now.
Oh, I always remember watching the Omen film when I was a little boy, and that terrorized me and terrified me. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's all about a kid that's born and he has the mark of the beast on him. And it's one of those 70s horror films that is just so creepy and chilling. The way that they build things up, it's like, oh, even thinking about it now, I get shivers on it. The Exorcist, it's like special effects and stuff weren't as good as modern day horror stuff. But it's just something so ominous about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't reached chapter 13 where the reference to the number is. But.
I'm sorry, I don't actually know all for why that is a number and stuff, but
yeah, I mean the numbers in the Book of Revelation are all symbolic. They all have different they all have they mean something more simply than a number. And the number 7 in the Bible is like the number, like this number of perfection, right? And 6 is kind of like this number, the below perfection or like human kind of number. And so yeah, 666 is, it carries that significance even more. And then it's the number of the beast. And we won't go into all that.
I mean, who knows? Maybe the Whitecaps made a deal with the devil to get into the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. There's my tie-in. That's why we're doing it. But we've talked Whitecaps. We're going to turn our attention to Zach's favourite league now, the Canadian Premier League. That's the main reason Zach's on this show. All the other stuff just came along as a historic thing that I thought, maybe we won't talk too much about that, but we have. But we're going to do a review of the first weekend. CPL is back. And honestly, if you haven't watched at least the highlights or even the goals, you've missed out.
Yeah.
That was a highly entertaining first week of Canadian soccer.
Yeah, for the most part, I really enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, obviously there was one result that you wouldn't have enjoyed as much, and it was probably the worst game of the 4 as well, to be brutally honest. But on the whole, I think it's been a good advert.
I think all 4 of them also had horrific weather.
It's next weekend's looking nice at least. So I mean, there is that. So we'll get into those games in a sec. So I mean, it's good to be back. Now, we just want to unpack a little bit of some of the stuff because I haven't had a chance to speak to Zach about this. Not even we've talked a little bit privately off air, but not fully. Just to unpack a little bit of Mark Noonan's interview that I did back in episode 664, which unfortunately was arranged at really short notice, and Zach wasn't able to get on it.
Yeah, I wish I had been able to join for that. It was a really good interview, so people haven't listened to it should go listen to it. And he's been talking, obviously, at the beginning of the season. He's been talking a lot lately, so you might have heard some of these things.
Yeah, I had a hard 20 minutes with him that I somehow pushed to 25. I'm bad for that, I know. Yeah.
What's his favorite jam?
We didn't even get that far. Did get him to do a bumper for the show at least, so there was that.
He didn't call it the show. He called it the podcast.
Yeah, which I don't mind. I like to mix it up so that folks say different things. I have folks saying radio show, podcast, soccer show, that annoying show, like all the things that come out. So, I mean, one of the big things that he mentioned to us and to other things as well, expansion might get delayed until 2027. And that kind of ties in as well with, I asked him about, are you going to capitalize on 2026?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what they're pondering, right? They're saying, does it make sense to launch, so the clubs will start in whatever, April of 2026 and already be existing during all the hype of the World Cup coming and starting and all that kind of stuff. And then the immediate hopeful, bump or engagement in the months immediately after, or do you use the whole ordeal as the runway to getting ready for these clubs and give them their own space to breathe in 2027, which I think it's fair.
Yeah. I mean also, like we've seen Pacific launch, we've seen Vancouver FC launch. It's not easy in that short period of time. No. I mean, if you can say to whoever's coming in, look, you're coming in, have a year and a half.
Yeah. The bigger the runway, the better, obviously. The more opportunity enables them, the club, the owners to engage, and the stewards to engage in their community and build those relationships and prepare and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I would say this, Michael, actually. I would, in a world where we were further along than where we're at right now, I would almost love it if it would be like there's 2 in 2026 and 2 in 2027. I say 2 only because I know they much prefer to come in pairs so they can keep there's no bye weeks and whatever. But we're not in that place.
I know, because I was thinking, does this mean there's maybe going to be 3 or 4 in 2027, which seems too many?
No, I can't.
Because initially, like, he did an interview with Manuel Vet at Transfermarkt, and it was like 2 in 26, 2 in 28, 2 in 30. But you've got this Caps on tour game now in Quebec that they weren't, like, as much as everyone wants a Quebec team in, the favoured things were Kelowna here in BC and either Windsor or Kingston in Ontario. Now, the advantage of launching both of those markets in 2026 ties in with capitalising on the World Cup.
Yeah.
You have supporters from around the world in Ontario and in BC. Now,
I don't know.
You would think folk that's in BC might want to explore the interior.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, like we talked about before, there will be a number of these people who come to the World Cup will be ground hopper types who want to get to as many games in as many places as possible. Some of my buddies are like that.
Oh, I would be doing that.
And they've been asking me, and they're actually excited that it's highly likely that Vancouver FC will be, they'll be able to see maybe them play in Ontario or here during the World Cup. So, yeah, it's just the other question though, Michael, is how much will you be able to engage with those with?
Well, yeah, because how like there's a lot of games. So you don't know as well. Like, it's maybe easier for the folk in Ontario because of where the clubs are there. Now, to get out to Langley if you're a tourist is not going to be easy. So, I mean, sensibly, if Vancouver FC could say, hey, let's put on a ticket and a shuttle deal for the fans. But then you could arrange all that and it's not got a take-up and you end up losing money.
Yeah, exactly. Again, a lot of the groundhopper types are not one that, the stadium not being as close or accessible as they like is usually not an issue for them. But again, I think that crowd is smaller than your average.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent nearly an hour getting to some non-league games in London when I've been there. But It's like you've got to really be committed to do that.
Exactly. That's why, if Kelowna were to come in 2026, how many people who were coming to World Cup in Vancouver would then go 4.5 hours to Kelowna for a game? That's
you'd have to be saying, oh, I fancy going to check out the lakes. Oh, this is a great chance to do both.
And the problem is then that's eating into your time of World Cup ground hopping.
The sensible thing, and it might not even be possible, would be Vancouver SC play a game at Swangard. Easily accessible.
I'm guessing. You and I haven't talked about this, and it's the first time I've heard you say that. I'm guessing there might be a few different factions that might have strong feelings about that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I would also be hoping, and I'll be mentioning this in League One talks, that we need to be capitalising on getting the grindhoppers out to games and making sure we don't schedule a game the same day that there's a World Cup match.
Yeah, just to give you a small example. So, in 2014, when Bayern did their American tour, including a game on the East Coast, and I can't even remember where now, maybe Philadelphia, DC, maybe it was DC. Anyways, it was on the East Coast, and then they played MLS All Stars at Portland. Right? Bayern provided X number of seats on their airplane at a really reasonable rate for fans to fly with them to the U.S. and the landing on the East Coast and then flying home from Portland. And so then some of them people on the plane were like families and whatever, but a bunch of them were like, supporters, fans, fanatics, ultras, and groundhoppers. And so some of those dudes went up to Ontario, and some of them went to watch CSL games.
Wow.
Right?
I mean, I would be doing that as well, I've got to say.
So then I met them when I was hanging out with them in Portland. We went to some of them. One of them was showing me Flo. I think Flo sent me a picture the other day of us at they were all excited about this. I remember, I think it was like a Whitecaps residency game that was in Portland at around the time of the All-Star game. They're like, "Oh yeah, let's go. Your team's playing. We'll go watch." And I haven't added that on Footballogy. I got to put it on there actually. I got to find that picture. But yeah, so they were they're all about that, right?
Yeah, and I mean it totally makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of talking to get done. Everyone needs to get together, like all the leagues, the NSL, the CPL, League One, to make sure that they can get something here. And
Mark said to you, right, that the league is going to be playing. I think he said it to you. I think it was in your conversation with him that the league is going to be playing during the World Cup.
Yeah, which MLS won't be.
Yes.
So they've already said that, which I would assume mean MLS Next Pro won't be as well. So then here that would free up Swangard as well because WFC2 wouldn't be playing.
So they're going to have to, like he said to you, they're going to try and strategically schedule them so that they don't conflict with as much as possible. The problem is during a World Cup, and especially a World Cup like this, I know we have the schedule, so I can't remember, but I think it's at least three games a day, or is it 4 on some days?
Yeah, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 because they want to try and get it in the different time zones.
Yeah, so it's going to be hard to be like, oh, okay, there's a free time. Like you're going to be able to avoid whatever your closest World Cup stadium is. You should be able to avoid games, right? So Vancouver FC should be able to avoid games at dates and times when games are happening in Seattle and Vancouver at BC Place. The clubs in Ontario should be able to avoid when games are happening at at BMO Field.
Yeah.
But you're still going to be asking people to come out when, like, if it's a nighttime game, well, there might be a game on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's true.
Of a country that, so it's going to be hard for even their own fan bases, right? It's going to be interesting.
Because it's not going to be a free day, really.
No, well, there will be free days, but there's only a few of them, and typically they're only they're not. There shouldn't be with this thing. There shouldn't, if I remember correctly. I don't think there's any free days between the group stage.
No, because even Vancouver and Seattle clashes.
Yes, there's 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah,
yes.
which is
unfortunate.
Yeah, because fans would be looking to do that. Well, we'll talk more about that, but let us know what you would like to see happen, or if you think fans wouldn't want to go and watch this. But talking about the leagues working together, that was something I spoke to Mark about as well. Very interesting, he took the TFC game in with Axel in Axel's box, the Whitecaps TFC game.
Was Mickey in there with them too, or?
Yeah, who knows? Axel's spoken about wanting to work more with the CPL, and Mark's talking about wanting to have a good relationship with MLS. Now, I don't know what that would look like, and I know there's a lot of CPL fans that would be pushing hard against too close connections. They don't want the second teams of the MLS teams in it, but some kind of maybe loan thing, more official loans or whatever, I don't know. Or if they launch a second tier, could they maybe have like youth teams in that? Or if they launch a youth league or an academy league, I don't know what it would look like, but it would be nice. And I get the anti-MLS sentiment and the American League sentiment, and I totally get that. But I think at this stage in Canadian soccer, everyone just needs to work together, every league, and try and grow the game here. There's been too much infighting, self-interests. Here in BC, between pro, semi-pro, amateur, it's ridiculous, even down to youth level. And it's I don't know how you fix that.
They do already have a relationship, right? I mean, you have the Whitecaps having a team in League One BC, which is owned by CSP, which is owned by the CPL owners, right?
Yeah, so and TFC where? I don't think they are now.
Yeah,
Montreal haven't.
Yeah.
But Montreal have been very keen to loan their players to the CPL.
That's what I was going to say, is there's also been a number of good loans. I mean, we're going to talk about Max Anchor in a few minutes. There's been a number of significant loans. And you've seen some players find themselves, in the CPL. They're from MLS or MLS academies or the fringe of an MLS team where they weren't playing, and they found, if you will, they found their level in the CPL, right?
Yes.
I mean, what's his name? We'll talk about, I think, the first game. Luke Singh. He's a guy from TFC, right? Originally?
Yeah. Doesn't seem MLS quality, but he's done well in CPL. He's had 3 loans now, I think.
Yeah, I think now he's officially not on loan anymore.
I
think he's in the CPL. Yeah. So there's a player like that. I mean, even Rocco Romeo, right? Rocco Romeo is a guy out of the TFC Youth Academy or whatever.
That's
right?
maybe not a good example.
There's a whole bunch of Whitecaps, players from their academy, right?
Well, look at Pacific in year 1. It was like, if it hadn't been for the Whitecaps Academy, Pacific wouldn't have had much of a roster.
No.
And they maybe don't all go and make it, but then you've got a guy like Marco Carducci that's carved out a career. Callum Irvin, David Norman that's come back. So yeah, hopefully things can get work a little bit closer. The last thing just to mention, which will then bring us in to the weekend's review, the TV deal. 4 matches initially announced. And then I saw on Discord a list of all the other matches.
Up until June or something, right?
Yeah, which I've now tried to find and I can't find anywhere. So once I find that again, we'll go over what all the games are. But the first one was shown this weekend, and we'll come to that in a sec. But I mean, this is great for the league. No getting away from it. More eyes on it, even if it's not a lot of eyes on it. Because I often wonder what some of these games that they show on like TSN and Sportsnet and stuff, how many folk are actually watching these. But anything is better than nothing from before. And if you even win over a small number of fans to go and actually check out the local team, it is well worth it.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see how this plays out over the course of the year and what it means for future seasons. But yeah, even just week 1, there was so much encouragement and so much excitement across the country with the supporters of the clubs being
really enjoyed the first weekend of action. I mean, let's get into the games then. So started off, we'll go in the order that they were played. So we'll focus more obviously on the Pacific and Vancouver games as the BC teams, but we'll cover all the games. So it's Ottawa 2, Halifax Wanderers 2. Wanderers threw away a 2-goal lead. I mean, disappointing.
I watched this game holistically, and it was really intriguing, and it was a kind of classic, almost tale of 2 halves. Although the second goal,
Giorgio Pro put them up in the 20th minute, and then Sean Rea, who didn't live up to what folk were expecting of him last year, put Halifax 2-0 up 2 minutes into the second half, and you thought, whoa, they are going to get it done on the road. Rarely.
The defending on that first goal from Singh and the other players for Ottawa was atrocious, because Provo was so open in the middle of the park, and we were like, how can that happen? But no, it felt like an inspired start from Halifax.
Oh, it did.
Okay, but the lineups were interesting as well in this game. I don't know if you I don't know if there was knocks or whatever, but Didic and Aparicio were both on the bench for Ottawa, which I found crazy, because Didic is so solid in this league, and
Jovan Mann didn't even make the 18.
Yes,
and I was like, that's disappointing from my point of view. I wanted him to see and do well, but
then Aparicio came in and helped turn the tide in the
because David Rodriguez.
Sissoko was another guy on the bench who obviously played a massive role.
Well, David Rodriguez got the equaliser on the hour mark, and he's one of their San Luis loan players that we talked about. He's the American one.
It was It was a nice goal. If you haven't seen these games,
there were some really good goals this week.
Go see the highlights on YouTube.
Abubakar Sissoko then tied it up in the 79th. I mean, at that point, I fancied Ottawa to go on and get the win.
Until...
Yeah, Tyre Walker sent off in the 86th minute, and then you thought, oh, maybe Halifax can go on here and get back and sneak the win.
It was such a stupid sending off. His card in the first half was not, again, a tackle that didn't need to be made. Wasn't in a bad situation. And then his second one was he flicked the ball away after giving away a throw, and he flicked the ball over the ad boards.
Yeah.
Second yellow was for time wasting.
Yeah, and then they're complaining, and it's behavior. I mean, it's obvious you're going to get a yellow card for that.
Yeah.
Even if you were like losing, there's a chance you might get a yellow card for it because you're like stopping the game restarting quick. But I've got to say, I thought Jesper did really well in goal for Halifax after my criticism of in our preview show. I thought he was excellent. Maybe he's going to have a turnaround season. Ottawa had 21 shots. 8 on target. Halifax only managed 2, and they ended up in the back of the net. But yeah, Jesper did really well, and if he can keep bringing that, it might be good for Halifax. The camera, I don't know if we talked about this in the preview, but now it's on the other side of the stadium, something we've complained about for ages. And I think being on TSN now, they're like, yeah. Also not being with Media Pro now, because Media Pro... I know when Media Pro filmed the game at Swangard, TSS Valor, they were like, oh, it's too complicated trying to get the camera on the other side into the stadium to show where all the bloody fans are and show there's an actual crowd there. So I don't know if they were like, no, we don't want to do this, but it was so much better.
I think with Ottawa, I think it has something to do with the wiring in the stadium. So I don't know if they've just upgraded that or what happened.
They got extension cables more, or it's a different production, obviously, now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if anything like that happens, like with York's games, right? Because the cameras, again, there are on the side that's less than ideal.
Well, I mean, York's going to be having those games, the NSL games. There's League One games there. So, yeah, they need to make sure that they've got proper broadcasting. I know there's been some concerns raised from TSN about Swangard. It's like, we need to make sure that we've got the facilities there. Like, we had issues doing the first League One game on Friday with internet stuff. So
I just want to push back on you on the Yesley thing, because
did you not think he did well?
No, I thought he did well in some of it, but the equalizing goal, Sissoko kind of shoots it right at him, and he gets a hand to it and bobbles it into the net. And
yeah, on the whole, I think he was good. But I mean, all keepers are likely you can hang them out to dry in a lot of stuff. Now, the second game was the historic game, the first CPL game on TSN, Forge and Cavalry. And when it was 0-0 at half time, I was like, oh, don't let this be a 0-0. That'll just let folk.
But it was still an intriguing game.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent. And you know what these two teams bring, and like the closing stages of this. Now, those that criticise the CPL might say, well, yeah, this is why. It was just frenetic. And it's like things were all over the place. That's wonderful. That's what I love to see. It makes for entertainment. I'd rather have that than just boring closing out matches. And I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was an excellent game. I thought it was an excellent advert for the CPL in the second half in particular.
Yeah, there was a number of good like half chances in that first half. Like when Toby kind of danced through a bunch of guys and then couldn't kind of get the shot. He had a header that was actually saved. It looks like the keeper for Forge. We were talking about how we both don't think they're good. It was, I forget how to pronounce it. It wasn't Kolongo. It was the other guy.
Yasim Kolailat.
Yeah.
It's what I'm going with. So apologies about that.
In this game, he actually, I think, looks like he's kind of trying to put two hands on that starting roster or starting spot and holding on to it tightly.
He was superb. He was my goalkeeper of the week. And I know people think Callum, but it just... I'm giving it to him because they got the win and he got the clean sheet.
Yeah, to me, Callum made more and better saves, but
Callum was outstanding, as we'll talk about in the first half.
Yeah,
but he's going to need to be.
But this guy, the Forge keeper, was in the team of the week, understandably.
Yeah, Colala, I thought, like, you'd watch that and you'd be like, well, he's the starter. He's the number one. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I wonder if it's going to play out that way.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. I mean, who knows come June because a lot can happen. One game doesn't make a season, like one swallow doesn't make a summer. Makes for a fun evening, but not a whole summer. It wasn't as intense as some of their other meetings.
No, but the grid was there. Yeah. There wasn't an all-out brawl.
Not surprising it was settled by a single goal, as so many of these meetings between these two teams have been. And it was Mo Babuli's 58th minute header that was the decider.
Yeah, it was a nice pass out to the wing, to the left flank, and like a good kind of diagonal ball. And then nice cross, and Babuli's just kind of open. Like, it's not great marking. I know there was kind of two players in the same space or whatever, but I mean, good for them. Good for Forge. I don't think I've ever said those words together before, but yeah, I feel bad for Carducci. Yeah, left hung out to dry on the play.
I mean,
you're right. I mean,
I think Cavalry were the better team.
Yeah, I agree.
And when, like, there was another sending off in this one, Zane Bruno got sent off in the 72nd minute, and when he got sent off, I thought, oh, the Cavs will get the equaliser here. But they didn't. I mean, they outshot Forge on the road, and I find this staggering. 24-7. That's so un-Forge-like. Only 6 of those 24 were on target, though, whereas Forge had 4 of their 7 on target, and there's where the difference kind of lay. A little bit more clinical in front of goal. I thought it was a good, entertaining game to whet the CPL appetite on TSN. I think TSN would have been happy with it.
Yeah, no, I think it was positive. I also think it was interesting, though. I don't know, we're going to talk about jerseys another time, but Forge, their kind of classic orange with white trim, looked clean, looked good. And then the Spruce Meadow 50th anniversary kit, as much as I may be joking about that a little bit, but it actually, again, looked good. And yeah, green versus orange was, yeah.
Yeah.
Was and like you said, Cavs, I think, will feel hard done by the result, but hopefully for them that just spurs them on, right? Like, and gets them kind of going.
Yeah, and they've started slow before.
Yeah, you can see Toby's quality and how he was basically trying to pick up where he left off last year, and you're not going to keep him off the score sheet for long. And yeah.
No, he looked sharp, and he had spells last year where he kind of just fell off the pace and wasn't looking great, but if he keeps this up, Cavalry will, of course, be right up there.
There was also Forge probably could have or should have equalized at the end, where they hit the post in an extra time. Like, there was a couple scrambles where I thought for sure, oh, they're going to equalize, and so they'll take a lot of. I think Tommy will be able to lift his players from this, and be a big deal for them.
They don't get too high in the highs, they don't get too low in the lows. That's the old cliche. So the final game on Saturday, BC's finest, current league leaders, because we're doing it alphabetically, Pacific came away with a 2-0 win over Valor, which I don't know how much you can read into, because Valor looked terrible. I mean, we thought they were going to be poor, but they were poor.
Yeah.
Fun little tidbit before we get into this. So a couple of the TSS guys were over scouting this game. So they were in a box, but they had to share the box with Phil DeSantis, who was suspended for the game. So that would have been a bit awkward as you're trying to scout his team and he's sitting right there. Yeah.
Big game from, who's his name, Ronan Kratt?
Oh, I mean, we spoke about Ronan Kratt as, I mean, who knows if he's going to bring it, but he's an exciting prospect. James, when we did the interview with him, was quite excited by what he could be to this team. We'll get to his goal in a second, because...
Well, but he creates the first.
Well, yeah, I guess. But we'll get to him now then. Dario Zanata, after waiting until about August or September to get off the mark last year, off and running in the first game. When I watched it back, so I thought, oh, is it him or was it an own goal? But no, it was him. And 18th minute, nips in, tucks it away. and Pacific's off and running, and Valor's defence, not for the first time. On Saturday afternoon, some questions about their marking and just defensive play in general.
Well, even, what's his name? The keeper, Visconsi or whatever. Like, we talked about in the preview of how, like, why did they resign him? Like, that rebound is, I think, preventable.
Yep. I mean, the second goal was obviously a wonder goal from Ronan Kratt. And if you haven't seen this, you've got to watch it back. Think kind of Eric Hasley, Whitecaps against Seattle. Now,
it's not that arcing nice. I mean,
we were talking about this. I think it's Puskás worthy, but you don't think it is that good.
It's not going to get that acclaim because it's more of like a hopeful. It's like it's almost like a unintentional lob. Like,
it's like did he mean it or not? Whereas Hasley,
he's putting it towards. He is putting it towards goal, but
there was no one else there. Maybe he just thought, Visconti's so terrible. If I just put this on top of him, I've got a chance.
Visconti,
and like he was like flapping.
But see, the thing that's different. I mean, the Eric Hasley, he means that shot. Like that. There's no like this was more just like, I'm gonna hit it first time, and the arc, right? Like that's the other thing. Eric Hasley's arc was like perfection.
This was bizarre.
This was like a towering like.
Yeah. It got some height in it and then came down really quickly. But I mean, it's probably going to be goal of the season. If it's not, I can't wait to see what's going to beat it because it's going to be a cracker. But I mean, at 2-0, I expect, and the way that Valor were playing, I think the most disappointing thing for James is they didn't push on and add to their tally. He'll be happy they kept a clean sheet. But I mean, the Valor looked poor. The centre-back pairing of Rocco Romeo and Fashioneri, who I like, Gianni Fashioneri. I did say in the preview, I feel he needs a good experienced guy in beside him to help him thrive. And him and Romeo together are not looking a good pairing. Now, it's one game. It's a small sample size. All I'll say is I came away from this thinking, TSS might have a chance after all in Winnipeg if we can get a striker.
Yeah. I think if you're James, you're looking at this game and you're like 3 points, a couple of goals. Max Anchor's come in and got us a clean sheet. I think it's.
Let's talk about Max actually then, because he got the start because Sean Melvin picked up an injury midweek at training, so they had to bring in Zavradek, who was on the bench. But actually, he got a start last year because on the bench was Callum Weir, who's now the TSS keeper. But great for Max Anchor and keeping a clean sheet. You've got to think the number 1 jersey's his now to lose, although I'm sure there will be some rotation with the amount of games coming up. You might find that Sean Melvin now is the keeper against VFC in the Canadian Championship.
That would be interesting.
Actually, probably would be anyway, because with Anchor being on loan, maybe the Whitecaps wouldn't want him in case they have a goalkeeper crisis and have to bring him back in case he's cap tied.
I don't think they will. Oh, yeah. No, I think that would
take a lot, but that's how he got his one appearance before.
Right. I just think that if you're Pacific, you wouldn't allow that. Like a loan recall would be significant, but you would not say, hey, you can't play him in this competition. I would find that strange.
I don't know. It happens in England and Scotland.
Oh, totally. Oh, no, I know it happens.
But yeah. I thought Max did well. Clean sheet, commanding, good anticipatory play, couple of saves. I mean, everything was looking good. Bustos looked sharp. Josh Herd as well. A lot to like. The Lucas Browning Lagerfeld injury, I had a quick look today and I couldn't find an update on that. So it looked bad. I don't know how bad it is. I guess we'll find out soon.
It is weird to hear you speak so positively about Josh Hurd. I know you've.
I'm going to get him on the show and do an interview.
But yeah,
you can sit there and just be like shaking your head, going, "I don't like this."
No, this is weird.
I feel it's weird saying those words. I feel dirty. How on earth did Fashioneri not get a second yellow for pushing Dario over in the box?
Oh, yeah.
How is that not a penalty as well?
Yeah.
Dario's like, what?
Yeah. Well,
hands shoving the chest.
Well, I guess in the CPL, the question is 2 hands shoving the chest worse than a shoulder into the back, which is where we'll go shortly.
Yes. I mean, I don't know what's a penalty in the CPL then. I mean, that was just baffling. Yeah. I mean, not a lot you can say about it. I've heard not everything is good behind the scenes at Valor. There's a little bit of discontent in the locker room. So, be interesting.
Already?
Yeah. Be interesting to see if all the players on this roster are still on this roster by the time TSS play them.
Wow.
Yeah, some unhappy bunnies there just now. But yeah, we'll see where that takes us. Last game on the Sunday, which we touched on in the last show. You were at it. I'm amazed you haven't got pneumonia genuinely. Like, when I was younger, I got pneumonia and I've got a punctured lung as a result of it. I was 6. I was in hospital for 4 months. At one point, I was touch and go. They actually thought I had meningitis at one point. It was just pneumonia. But no, I was in hospital for 4 months. And yeah, it was quite a bad time. So I have to watch being out in horrendous weather. And that would not have been good for me if I'd been out in that one.
I can't remember if I said it on the last show, but I had a bunch of ponchos that I handed out to people.
Yes, you did.
I'm wearing a rain jacket. I'll be fine. Stupidest thing I should have put. I had a half a dozen more sitting in my vehicle.
That will learn you for next time.
Totally.
Which I'm pretty sure there will be a next time. Although actually, maybe not till October time. Hopefully, we're starting to get some nice weather now.
To be fair, this is the first match of year 3, season 3. Before this, we've only ever had one actual game where it rained the whole game and another where it rained like from the second half onward.
There was one I remember being in the press box last year that we couldn't put our equipment down because the whole press box was flooded. Which I'm concerned about from doing the Langley Whitecaps / Rise League 1 game on the 27th. I'm like, I hope it's dry.
Oh, yeah.
But a new setup in the stadium. We saw a bit of it last year where you guys aren't in the south end anymore.
Yeah,
so
but the Fanatics are right in midfield now.
Which is good because you're on camera. And
it's better than being in the corner. It's weird because you're standing there and I remember I turned to Harley. I'm just like, these are really good seats. Like, you get to see everything so much, like the whole field. You get to see.
When I'm filming my VMSL games, I like to be at the halfway line.
Yeah.
And actually, my seat in the press box at BC Place is pretty much at the halfway line, and you do get to see a lot more. But whenever I'm going to a game, my choice is to stand behind a goal.
Yeah.
And ideally switch ends if you can.
Yeah.
Like the games that I was going to the first 2 years, I said to you, I left the press box and I went down and stood behind the goal on the north side. I just liked it down there.
I've done that when I've been covering games for AFTN before.
It's good. I like to be down near the action. I like to hear what's being said. And yeah, it's fun. The crowd wasn't great in that the actual attendance. I know the announced attendance was good, but it's totally understandable.
What was the announced attendance?
Someone said 1,200.
No, it was 14. The announced attendance was 14 and change.
Okay.
Even that was lower than what I'd heard before the game. So, yeah.
Anyone looking at that, because I got a couple of DMs from folk going, oh, this is not going to be good for them if that's the crowd that they're getting. I was like, you've got to look the fact that it's like torrential rain. If it's the summer and the crowds aren't looking great, that's when you start questioning things and maybe concern.
Yeah, here's the thing. The stewards of the club are trying different things, right? So the south end is closed. The new, larger, improved scoreboard is in the south end there.
Yeah, which looked good on TV.
And then they've tarped off sections of the stadium, including part of the south end, but they've tarped off areas to kind of bring people who are there closer together and make it kind of more meaningful and
look better in the camera as well. Cause
that too.
Always, that's what sells things. If you see something you're like, oh, I'd like to be part of that. That looks fun.
Yeah.
Or, oh, it's a decent crowd. I like what they're doing this weekend because they've got the Constructors Union sponsoring the game and everyone gets a hard hat, which I can only be because they're going to build a roof. That's that part of the deal.
I saw the first game. The first game. See, these things are supposed to be for children. At the first game, they had captain armbands.
Child labor. Oh my, Zach.
No, they had captain armband, but they were supposed to be for children. So I walked in the stadium.
Oh yeah.
And the person giving them out came up to a whole bunch of adults and said, "Oh, would you like one?" And we were like, "Sure." And then a whole bunch of people were giving us a hard time. It was like, those are supposed to be for the children.
Well, yeah, but isn't that there's going to be 500 handed out, and the chance of getting 500 kids in those conditions, I think, was slim.
Well, all I know is, first I was like, I have kids here, they can get them, and I'd be happy. But then the guy came up to a bunch of us adults and was like, "Would you like these?" And we were like, "Absolutely," because they came in white, black, and red. So now I have all the colors. But the hard hats too is supposed to be something like that too. It's supposed to be like for kids, and it's a few hundred or whatever, like 250 to 500 or something.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I gotta get my kids to get a hard hat in case I want one.
Yeah, and so you can build the roof.
I'd love to build the roof.
I mean, nothing says a stadium that's still under construction than giving out hard hats.
I like that they're partnering with the union.
No,
I think it's great.
I mean, like genuinely having a coffee shop as a sponsor, I think is cool.
Yeah.
I spoke about I was going to say we spoke about that, but I cut that bit out of the last episode, so it's something we are going to come to shortly. But no, like partnering with the union, I think it's good. They've got a lot of good sponsors this year.
Oh, the first game was the helicopters.
Oh yes,
I forget the name of the company. It's on the armband. Oh, there it is, right there. Hang on.
Yeah, you've got lots of red armbands.
Oh, Michael, the armband I took was white, and it's the Sky helicopters. They're actually for they say they're for children, but they fit me better than
big.
They fit me better than they do most of my adult armbands. Like they're.
Let's get into the game.
Yes.
So, Callum stood on his head in the first half.
Absolutely.
I think the disappointing thing from a VFC point of view is you've got a 20-year-old in the York goal in Ivan Pavela, and they just didn't test him in those conditions. He's making his debut.
Yeah.
You want to be pinging shots in on him. He's going to have some nerves, you would think. Maybe not. I mean, young players are very confident these days. But it's like one shot on target from just 3 attempted.
Yeah.
And it's like you needed to be pinging that, try and put him under pressure, make him think a little bit. Now, it was way better in the second half.
Yeah.
But by that time, he settled into the game a bit.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I think for me, I think the first interesting thing was the lineup. Like it felt like Afshin went a little bit conservative.
Yeah, he went a bit more experienced because, like, we talked off air at the weekend. All the guys you were telling me, "Oh, watch out for this guy, this guy, this guy." I got the lineup and I was like, "Oh, they're on the bench."
Yeah, Henri.
Well, yeah, because you're like, if he's not starting, he'll be disappointed.
And Fotzing, yeah, Henri, I think started every preseason game I saw. At the back, even it was interesting to see. Obviously, Dadaluc at right back.
He was excellent, by the way.
Campagna, we knew was going to be the right center back for sure. But then some people might have been surprised by this, but in the last, at least 3 preseason friendlies for at least a half each game, maybe even more, he used Allen as a left back, left wing back. And so Allen started wide, which meant David Norman started at center back. So again, there's like, he can play. There's other players who could play there. Obviously G was on the bench, could have played there. Ba can play there, but he likes him further forward. And then it was, I think the bigger surprise was maybe Mady starting in the middle alongside Vasco.
Yeah, that's when I saw him, I was like, obviously I haven't seen the preseason games. I was like, well, he must have impressed. He's getting the start here.
Ba on one wing and the two big guys up top, Wiro and Campbell up top. But actually, all of us were a little bit shocked, actually, that TJ was back and able to. No one thought he was going to be in the 18 even. And so we were actually surprised and excited to see him starting, even though it was on the right wing, to have him starting. But yeah, I guess Mady over Fotzing is like, okay, yeah, you have a player who's, a little bit older and has more sort of competitive experience. It is interesting having both your central midfielders be left-footed. But yeah, I wasn't like shocked, and I didn't think it was horrible or anything. I just it wasn't quite exactly what I was expecting. I also wonder how frustrating it is for Paris to start on the bench, because he's kind of been. I mean, he's on one of the older players. He's like 30 or whatever. So he's
that was a surprising one as well. I mean, the first half, York were the better team, and Callum had done so well. York had 10 shots, 7 of them on target, and I was watching that first half thinking what we had been talking about, like Callum. Without him, the team looks in trouble. But you can't rely on him standing on his head like that in every game, because there's going to be mistakes. All keepers do them, and it will settle down. And the best form of defence is to get attack, and that happened in the second half. Like VFC picked up, they outshot York 9-3, and Pavella did well because 5 in total that came to him in the wet conditions. He dealt with them all.
Mm-hmm.
So the key difference was really the quality in front of goal, because both teams were getting shots. Julian Altobelli coming on as a sub, and he looks a good addition for York.
Yeah, but I think that ultimately for me, Michael, and I know some people will disagree with this, the turning point is in the 6th minute of the game. You talk about creating good chances. Nothing's better than creating.
Yeah, because I missed this live because I was fast forwarding through because I'd been watching the U17s.
Yeah, so nothing's better than for creating a chance than, a 77% chance from the penalty spot. And Alan playing left back puts in a nice ball.
NU for
Alan NU. Not to be confused with Alain or Alain, the referee who made the call on this play. Puts in a nice ball and into Taryn at the near post, and the York defender, I can't remember who it was actually, but totally just shoulder into the back of Campbell. And it's actually, if you watch the highlights, it's the first highlight of the whole game, and there's 3 angles of it, and the third one, it's very, very clear that it's a shoulder into Campbell's back, and Campbell goes down, and no call. And it's a pretty egregious error, in my opinion. Like and it might not have totally, absolutely 100% turned the tide of the whole game, but if VFC scores there and gets a penalty and scores there, I think at least in part it changes the trajectory of the game. But you're right. Things. York had some really good chances in the first half where Callum stood on his head, and then in the second half, you got to give credit to Estacio because his substitutions really turned the game. Now, you could also say they turned at a similar time to the substitutions from the away side, but also from the home side that all kind of intermingled into creating the chances that saw York take the lead.
I've just watched the penalty incident back as you were talking there, because I realised after us talking about it at the weekend, I hadn't actually watched it. So, see, when I see it from behind, I don't think it's a penalty. But then when I see it from behind the goal, looking out, it's a penalty. But Alain Roche has clearly had the view that I had, and it looks like he's just thrown himself to the ground, and there doesn't look to be that much contact. Because when I first saw it, I was like, that's not a penalty. And then it's like, oh, no, that's a penalty.
Yeah, I you're not wrong in terms of did Taryn's arm movement help him or hinder him?
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that it was a penalty.
Oh, no, it was. This is why they need something like VAR light.
If there's VAR light, there's
like with the Dario one in the Pacific game as well, there's no way that's not going to the spot. And it's like, it's there to help the referee and not make him the talking point for when things have gone wrong. And Alain Roche is one of the best referees in the CPL. He was actually the match commissioner for the TSS games on Friday was chatting.
Except for Michael, some people pointed out to me, and I didn't verify this, so I'm trusting them, but he's also, you talk about, Campbell's embellishment didn't help. Campbell's potential embellishment didn't help. He is the referee who sent off Rocco Romeo when Meyer Bevan
the cavalry game, yes.
When Meyer Bevan fouled Rocco Romeo, and then Rocco got sent off. So
yeah, well, he definitely doesn't play the local favourites anyway.
Nope.
He was also the referee that added on all the extra time when TSS lost to Pacific last year.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, not a big fan of his either. I mean, out of belly, his 2 goals were the difference, 66th and 84th minute. Both of them, for different reasons, I think the centre-backs involved should have done better.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
I was annoyed at the second one in particular. I know NU wasn't going to catch up with him. Or if he had, he'd have made a clumsy tackle and it would have been a penalty. But when you're watching it, if you're a fan watching that, you're like, why did you just stop and give up on that play?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back. I think there was, if my memory serves me right from the stadium, I think there was a foul that Vancouver didn't get before Bog gives away that free kick that York takes quickly from the half and then plays it out wide to the right to, what's the kid's name? Shola?
Oh,
Jimmo.
Yeah.
And then he does really, really well to beat G, although, yeah, I guess G doesn't really cover himself in glory on the play. And then it's just, he puts in a ball that's almost like a shot that Norman chests down, and it's just awkward because it also takes him out.
Yeah, he didn't get enough on it to do anything with it, either get it out of play or get it back to Irvin.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sat there.
Yeah, and Antibola just entered.
Altabelli.
Sorry, Altabelli. Sorry, Altabelli reacts quicker.
Think what happens when you eat all too belly.
Oh my. But yeah, it was very, very frustrating goal to give up.
Yeah, well, you saw the frustration on David Norman's face as well.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching that thinking, oh, he knows what's going to be said to him after the game. And after the fact, like last year, players were getting very small windows of error. If you're making a mistake, you're out the team.
Yeah, the problem is there's very few center backs this year, unless you're going to play G at center back. But I mean, not the second goal comes whatever it is. I can't remember how long after, but Allen looks even worse.
Yeah, it was the 66th for the first, 84th for the second.
Right. Yeah, so it's a throw in, and he gets beaten, and kind of just shows no
urgency at all. Yeah,
he just kind of he gets beaten, and the guy goes in and scores. And
he's like, he's gone now. And I don't think he was going to catch up with him, but at least put an effort in.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating thing for me. You're watching that, and it's like, effort. At least show that you've tried to get back.
Yeah.
I mean, Diaz missed a chance late on. He'd forced a good save from Pavala earlier, so he'd had a couple of looks on goal.
He had a nice left-footer shot from outside the box that I thought was...
Oh, the one that was tipped over.
Yeah.
That was a really good save from Pavala. It was a good shot as well. Tern Campbell didn't do much. We spoke, like Callum Irvin was grimacing when he took a goal kick in the second half. Campagna also went off maybe with a possible knock. I don't know.
I think he might have taken a knock and just that was one where that moved Allen inside. I think that's when G came on, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That kind of that was significant because Paris gets beaten on the one side, and then Allen when shift to center back gets beaten later. That's the other thing I wonder about in all this is just the placement. So when you bring Allen inside, you now have 2 left-footed center backs. You keep David on the left side, maybe because he's been playing there all game, and put Allen on the right. Was that the best? I don't know, but
I said last year I'm not a big fan of NU. When they brought him back, I was like, why? I mean, there's surely got to be better than that.
No, I just think that they believe there's such big upside and there's big possibility there for them. So,
yeah, I mean, positives to take from the game. Callum did well. It's getting some chemistry. Some of the young lads did get a run out and looked like they belonged in the league, which is good to see. I still think it's going to be a challenging season ahead. You've got to win your home games. Now, we can put this down to the horrible conditions, but the next game coming up on Sunday is Ottawa, which is a tough one as well, because they're going to be looking to get their first win. But it's a long journey here. And that's the advantage that we've got here, is that teams are making the long trips to to Langley and to Langford, and this goes the opposite way then. But drop points at home, you've got to try and make them up now on the road. Still a long season ahead. I mean, we can probably, after a month maybe, get an idea of really how good or bad the team is looking.
Yeah. The other thing is, you saw the press release, right? That announced the.
Yeah, I was going to say there is help coming. Nicholas Mosqueda.
Potentially coming.
Well, if they can get the visas over the line. But
before
Nicholas
Mosqueda,
Mosqueda is definitely here.
Before Mosqueda, right? There's these 4 players that they put out, 2 Africans and 2 Brazilians.
Brazilian central midfielder Juan Bautista, French midfielder Abdoulaye Ouattara, Brazilian midfielder Michel Cavalcanti, and Senegalese defender Ndaya Pate.
Right.
Who's been playing in Spain.
Yeah. And he's been playing at Alan's club.
Yes.
I believe. Yeah.
I don't know what position he is as a defender. Do you know?
No, I can't remember if he's a centre back or a full back.
3 midfielders is interesting though, because I said to you I felt the midfield depth was severely lacking in the team.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see. Now, all of them are held up with visa issues. I've heard for a while now that maybe a couple of them will come in shortly, but that shortly keeps on as a rolling shortly.
It's the Jesper Sorensen, Rheingold is a couple of weeks away.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Which at least if he's a couple of weeks away, he might be back for the Miami game.
There you go. But yes, so I think partly as a result of these delays, it has resulted in the signing of Uruguay's Nicolas Mosqueda, which I think is a good thing.
I think he's great for the locker room, and he's kind of like a Renan Garcia kind of replacement in that regard, and that he's an experienced player that does things right. Like, he's a proper professional player. He's a great guy as well. He's still at a good age that he can tear it up, I think, in the CPL.
He turned 33 this past January, yeah.
He hasn't seemed to play more than like 15 to 17 games in a season, though, which is maybe a concern injury-wise, long travel. I mean, this is going to be even more grueling travel in some regards than MLS.
Well, at least he knows it.
Yeah. But I think he's a good addition. And if we can get the Mosqueda that we know he can be, he'll light this league up.
Yeah, that's where the potential lies in him. For all of, and I know I can't remember if you just said it, but I know you and I've talked. You used the word, he wasn't as consistent as you would have liked.
That was always my criticism of him here. I liked him, and I wanted him to get starts, and then he got the starts, and he just did not perform.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is at this stage of his career in the CPL, can he be consistent, and can he be that leader in terms of how he plays and how he contributes? I think that there's a chance that he can, and so I would say this if he had signed at another CPL club as well. This is not just because he's at Vancouver FC. Obviously, because he's at Vancouver FC, I hope my hope for him to do well is much larger than if he was somewhere else. But no, I'm excited. Nico's a really great dude. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to support him.
I mean, he's obviously a starter, and of these 4, 2 are said to be starting quality, which you would guess are the Brazilians, but that's just me assuming that because you're Brazilian, you're a good footballer.
Yeah.
But yeah. 3 games this weekend coming up. Bizarrely, Cavalry and Valor have a bye week. I don't know if that's anything to do with weather related or stadium related, or they thought we can't risk that they can't get a game off because of the weather. But to have a bye week in the second week of the season is just nuts to me.
The only thing I like about that is it means I'm supposed to be at their home opener.
Oh, you'll be at their home opener on the 18th, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Pacific Forge, that's the game that is on TSN. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff. Next 2 games on Sunday. At noon, it's York hosting Wanderers, and then at 3, it's your VFC boys with a tough one against Ottawa.
Yeah, I wish that kickoff was late.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be tight for you getting to that. Good for us recording, though, on Sunday night. You won't be so tired.
I have a big day at work that morning.
You will be so tired.
We have our first big fundraiser for our return to Costa Rica. So,
oh, that's it for the CPL chat. We've got one more part to come. We're going to turn our attention to the women's game, and we'll bring you a couple of chats, one with Casey Stoney, one with Holly Ward, and we'll be back with that. Not after a Britpop song, we're saving that for the weekend show. Not after a song from our album of the month, we're saving that for the weekend show. But after a song from a very good friend of mine.
Hi, I'm Dario Zanata, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, something a little different from some of the other songs we've been playing from Fife in Scotland. It's a band we've featured on the show before. They're called Got Need, the band of my good friend Doug Perry, my co-host on our East Fife podcast, Glory Days of Gold. And that is their new single, released on April 4th, Tears for Her. And you can get that in all the usual places on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, YouTube Music. Go and check them out. If you enjoyed that, go and check out all their other stuff as well. They're an excellent band. East Fife supporters as well. I mean, what more could you want if you're going to support some bands? And yeah, they've got some really good stuff, and that's their latest single. And there was maybe some tears shed for her on the island on Tuesday night as the Canadian women's national team saw their 23-match unbeaten run from open play come to an unceremonious end at the hands of the team that they had just dispatched 3-0 a few days earlier at BC Place. Argentina coming away with a 1-0 victory. Amila Rodriguez, her 34th minute goal, the decider between the two teams. Solana Pereira got sent off in the 77th minute. Now, I feel that was a bit harsh. I don't know that she moved her arm towards the ball as she came out from goal, but it was a straight red card. Canada outshot Argentina 18-6. Only 4 of those 18 on target though for Canada, 2 on target for Argentina, and one of those ending up in the back of the net from Rodriguez. I think this was a match as well that dispelled the myth that female players, especially from that part of the world, aren't capable of all the shithousery that goes on that side of the game down there, because we saw that in full effect in Langford on Tuesday night. But although the defeat will be disappointing, naturally, for Canada, there's certainly things to take from the game, stuff to build upon for Casey Stoney. And I'm going to bring you a little bit of audio now from Casey. I got a chance to speak to her before the game at BC Place last week, as did AFTN's very own Felipe Vallejo. Got a chance to speak to Casey just about how she's settled in to the role these last couple of months, the transition from going to day-to-day dealing with players at club level to the international side, and also to chat about the exciting launch of the Northern Super League that's just days away now from getting underway. Here's what Casey had to say.
Casey, you touched on there, you've not been in the job long, but how have you enjoyed it? How have you found it so far? And has it been a bit of an interesting transition for you from day-to-day running with the players to now just having them every couple of weeks or months?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a steep learning curve in terms of, for me, obviously I was involved as a player for a long time, but understanding the organisation, understanding the landscape of Canadian soccer, understanding the backgrounds of the players and where they've come from, and understanding how we can support the players even when they're not in camp. You know, making sure that we've always got that support system in place, making sure that, you know, we're going and seeing games, we're viewing games, we're making sure that we're keeping track of performances and form, how we can help players when they're in a club environment. Because no matter whether you're in a club or in an international team, you're still a developer, you're a coach. So how you help them players be the best version of themselves on and off camp is important, whilst not interfering with club, but building really good relationships with clubs so that you have a player-centred approach every time they're in.
Kind of following on from that, then I was going to ask, after this window, what your next couple of weeks look like. Obviously the NSL is getting underway. Are you just going to be getting out?
I'll be back here.
As many games as possible?
Yeah, I'm going to get around to as many games as I can. Obviously, we've got players that I need to view. I want to make sure, again, I'm talking about while in the pool. So, you know, watching players is important. Seeing our players, supporting the league is really important to me. And then obviously looking ahead to prep for the next camp. So it kind of doesn't stop. I thought it would be different in terms of rhythm. I'm all or nothing anyway. So constantly looking at opponents, constantly looking at our players and looking at how we can improve everything from resources and infrastructure to make sure we put everything in place for the players to be successful.
Casey, the timing of this match works perfectly for that exactly, of the NSL and the opening match that's going to happen here in BC Place. How nice is it to have the city really be excited for women's soccer in this period and be able to be welcomed home to it and knowing what's to come?
Well, I think this place has had some incredible memories, you know, and there's been so many memorable moments come here and fans turn up. And that's what I've seen in the past, you know. So hopefully tomorrow night the fans can turn up again and make it, you know, a really good atmosphere in here, and hopefully we can put on a performance that fans are proud of.
Casey Stoney there, just chatting about getting into this role with the national team and her hopes for the NSL that is going to be getting underway imminently. And Casey, of course, from England, and she's seen the rise of the game over there. And it's been a slow build, but it's really starting to take off. Crowd numbers are up, TV coverage is up, and it's becoming a league of choice. Obviously, a lot of that because of the money that is on offer. But it all goes hand in hand. Increased coverage brings in the sponsors, brings in the extra money, gets the better players, and then it's kind of full circle as the quality of the league gets higher and higher. And that's obviously something that we are hoping is going to be the case here in Canada. Might take a few years for the NSL to get up to those levels, but they've set lofty goals. They want to be one of the top leagues in women's soccer, a destination league. And they've brought some big name players back for the first year of it. As we spoke about with Vancouver Rise President Sinead King on the last show, it's often a case that players will wait to see what year one is like. They want to see what the league's like. They want to see what the quality's like, what the fans are like, what the coverage is like. Get any teething problems out of the way, and then you'll maybe see more and more national team players, former national team players, bigger name players, other countries' national team players making the move to Canada for year two and beyond. And hopefully seeing a lot more local talent coming into the NSL on Vancouver Rise's side. And it's, again, something we spoke to Sinead about. Everyone would love more of the girls' elite players to make the breakthrough or to pick Vancouver Rise as the team they want to come to once their college career is finished. And one player to do just that is 21-year-old Vancouverite Holly Ward. And what an exciting time it's been for Holly, the forward made her senior national team debut on Tuesday night in Langford, coming on in the 64th minute for another debutant, Kayla Briggs, playing out the last 26 minutes and stoppage time of this one, and continuing a great rise, no pun intended, for the Whitecaps Academy alumni. She's played with Canada at youth level, been a part of the Under-20 Women's World Cup with Canada back in 2022. I've had the pleasure commentating on her the last 3 years in League One, where she played for Varsity, not Samoa, and then last year with Burnaby. Just coming off a 4-year career down in the NCAA with Texas Longhorns, and signing her first pro contract with Vancouver Rise this year. She's excited for the NSL to get underway, playing in front of family and friends, and I got a chance to chat with Holly before that first Argentina game at BC Place, just about her career so far, the start of the league, and a few other things as well. Here's Holly Ward. Holly, first call up to the senior team. How exciting has this been for you, and when did you find out?
I actually found out last Saturday, and I mean, I was not expecting it at all, and just beyond excited and honored, and I'm just honestly so excited to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
And with the 2 games being in BC, it must be a little bit extra special for you. You get your family and friends out as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I have, I think, 8 or 10 people coming to the game. My parents and my boyfriend are going to be there, and yeah, it's going to be really special for me.
I mean, this year, it's quite the year for you. You've signed your first pro deal. The season gets underway very, very soon. You've got this. How has this year been for you? Has it been a bit of a whirlwind?
Yeah, you could say that. I think a whirlwind in a good way. Like, I've met a lot of amazing people, and I said a lot of goodbyes in Texas and to like the people that I played with for the last 4 years, and now I'm here and I've met my amazing coaching staff, a new team. I've met like so many new people, and yeah, it's definitely been like a whirlwind, but like in a really positive way. I'm learning a lot. But yeah, it's been really good. It's been really fun as well.
I know you were at Texas for 4 years, and obviously you've been in League One. Has it felt different being in a pro club environment now?
Yeah, for sure. There's lots of differences. Like in college, you're in the college system, so it's a lot different. It feels a lot more grown up, a lot more professional. You're not doing school.
That helps.
That definitely helps. You can put a lot more attention into the team and into like yourself as a player. So yeah, that's been a big difference for me.
Coming to play in your hometown as well. Like when you went to college, this wasn't even on the horizon. Now you've got a professional league. As soon as you knew there was a team, was this always going to be your choice? Because obviously NWSL could have been an option, or like overseas, but did you always want to come and play at home?
I mean, I think I always have dreamed of playing at home. Since I was a kid, I kind of wanted to play maybe in the NWSL or in Europe, and that was kind of like my goal, like in the first few years of college. And so then when the team in Vancouver and my Vancouver Rise first started, I was like, oh, this could be an option for me. But I don't necessarily think for me it was my only option. It was like the only thing I wanted. I wanted to live out my dream of all these other things that I had work towards. But then as things kind of came into place, it felt right. I was like, oh, this is definitely the place I want to be and the place that I'm going to develop the best at. So
looking back at the years that you've had in League One, I had the pleasure of commentating on you with Varsity and then Burnaby. I mean, you were tearing that league up. Was it also frustrating though, because you knew you couldn't be the whole season? You're only coming in for a couple of games and then you have to get back to college.
Yeah, I guess frustrating, but also I was just happy to be there and be able to play at home, and my family could watch that, and I knew a lot of the girls that I'd grown up playing soccer with them. So yeah, it kind of sucked that I'd have to leave halfway through, but also I was used to it and I loved being at Texas, so it was kind of a win-win. I'd get to play a bit at home, and then I would say bye, and I knew they would all do great in the championship games and everything, and then I'd go back to Texas and see all my friends there.
So Rise kicking off, you've got the first game here at BC Place. I mean, that's just going to be a magical moment.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, I am so excited. It's even weird being here now because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 2 exciting things coming up. But yeah, it's going to be really special. We're making history for women's soccer in Canada, so nothing more to say. That's just amazing.
Yeah, and the home games at Swarngard as well. That's obviously a special place. I mean, what are your hopes for this season?
I think that a lot of new things are happening this season, and we're making history, like I just said, for women and for like women's sports, and specifically obviously women's soccer. So I think there's like a lot of things that are changing, and like we're going to have to get used to. But yeah, we're basically we're inspiring the next generation of girls, and like we're basically making it so that young girls in youth sports can be like, I want to be a Rise player. That's so cool.
There's 3 local players on the team, so you're one of them. Does that put any extra pressure on you, do you feel? Or is it nice to kind of be flying the flag for BC?
Yeah, I guess you could say pressure. I think it's, again, like a good pressure. Like I feel at home. I feel like I'm playing, like on fields that I've played all the time. So yeah, it definitely puts pressure, but I guess it's also like I feel like I can help others feel at home as well and make BC and make Vancouver their home too.
Last thing. 10 years ago, World Cup was here, so it's taken a while for this league to get up and running. What impact did that have on you? Because you were, 10, 11 back then?
Yeah, 21 now.
I couldn't remember if you were 20 or 21. So I mean, what kind of impact did that have on you as a young girl watching that?
Oh, I mean, watching it, you feel like you're like, oh, I want to be there someday. And I think every little girl in sports and like every youth player in sports kind of feels that way. And so now, like 10 years later, the fact that like I'm in my first national team camp, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Like, not that I can't believe it, but kind of I can't believe it. I'm like, wow, this is real. Like, it's possible. And I think like kind of to everybody, all the other youth players out there, like it is possible. Like keep chasing your dreams, and like maybe you could be here too.
That's fantastic. Good luck for these games. Good luck for the season to come. Can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
Holly Ward there, talking all things Vancouver Rise and NSL, and it won't be long now till we get to see Holly and the rest of the Rise on that BC Place pitch. The NSL season getting underway on Wednesday, April 16th, and it should be a fantastic and historic occasion. If you haven't got your tickets yet, make sure you go and get them. Let's pack the place out. But of course, we can't finish without this episode's wavelength. And since I was talking there about Canada-Argentina, I thought this is an ideal opportunity to bring you a song from an artist that we featured a few weeks ago. We mentioned that he's got a couple of football-themed albums, one on Danish players, one on Dutch players, one on Uruguayan players, and one on Argentine players. So we'll bring you a track from that 7-track Argentine album. It was released on the 7th of July 2019. The album is called Pro Valletta. The artist is Cousin Feo, and this is the opening track from the album, Maradona.
The most talented out of Argentina. Maradona, controversial, the most famous footballer to come out of Argentina.
We taking it from France out to Argentina. Park the beamer, spark the weed up, go and call your team up. See, we play on any surface or field. I see your soldiers looking nervous with shields and yield in the presence. Yeah, it's real deal to you peasants, check it. I'm Maradona from the half line. That's coke lines at halftime. The fans get chastised, move with the hand to guard. Watch these cats get baptized. Win by a landslide, connect with my rap ties and celebrate every time we win or a rat dies. I can't lie, been the truth like Diego in 84. The 9-1 divine thugs sit outside the cathedral collecting loot. I'm on the stoop smoking pot with my people. We was playing met that gold, they was copping the needles. I'm black, high to the needle, just like the blind at casino. See the stock going up, you best to cop while it's legal. Yeah.
Football was one way out of the ghetto.
Yeah. Bring it back
most infamous to come out of Argentina.
Word. Where you from? Hey, yo, I'm a Legend from Buenos Aires to Napoli. Brought the faculty, and we've been conquering gradually. Drop a masterpiece as cold as a Patagonia. Vermont in 22nd, we was kicking it off in Nolia. At the podium, I'm one of them like an only son. Trips to the graveyard to show the homies love. Then it's back to the grind, capped in my side. With a lot of passion and pride, I'm where the action is live. Cash strap packed in the ride, packs in the ride. No chance to decide when the bullets going straight and hit the passenger side. It's like they're asking to die, waving flags in the air with a chant to the sky. Just like the vocal crowds, hold it down till I hold the crown. Flow is foul like the red car, the next bar, leaving with neck scars. I'm on the edge, the best, number 10 on the press hard. Yes, yes, y'all.
Diego Armando Maradona, the most famous footballer to come out of Argentina, the most talented to come out of Argentina, the most controversial, and most infamous to come out of Argentina.
Maradona from LA, hip-hop star Cousin Feo there, and we'll be bringing you a lot more songs from Cousin Feo over the coming weeks and months in Wavelength from those 4 football-themed albums. But that is it now for this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. We will be back with another one soon. So just before we go, Zach, and if anyone's wondering why Zach didn't talk in that bit about the women's game, I had to record that earlier just for time purposes. But yeah, any final thoughts from you, Zach, to round this one out?
Other than, watch the CPL, whether you watch it on TSN or
whether you like it or not,
or you get Telus and you can watch it there. Or
let's also mention Soccer's got a deal at the moment, 50% off. You can get it for $49.99 if you want to get the One Soccer app, and if you've got Telus, $5 a month. It's a bargain. You can PVR the games, fast forward through it so well. I have it on Telus, and yeah, you'll get the CONCACAF Champions games as well. You'll get the Gold Cup this summer and a lot more. So yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah. And then Sunday, 3:00, Willoughby, if you're around.
Should be dry. I'll be
it should be. I think there's a 20% chance of
I'm hoping it's dry because I'm planning on going to 1, maybe 2 Provincial Cup quarterfinals. So we'll see how that plays out then. But yeah, League 1 BC, 4 games as well on Saturday. If you're in the Nanaimo, Kamloops or the Lower Mainland, get out to one of those if you can. Whitecaps / Vancouver Rise take on TSS at Thunderbird Stadium. Noon kickoff for the women, 3:00 kickoff for the men. I'll have to leave at half-time of the men's one to make the early kickoff at BC Place. But until next time, as always, thanks for listening. Take care. And on a very historic night for the Whitecaps. Want the Caps!
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
AFTN